I don't know. Sushi's risky. Driving on the highway when it's a 4-lane highway and you're going 65 miles an hour, that's risky. Getting an airplane, that's risky. If you're going to just say risky, what's risky? It's like, yeah, there's a very small risk something bad could happen with basically anything you do in life. And if you're going nuts about that with the vaccine, then you kind of have to do that with every other risk that you would have, right? Is it a risk to plug something into the wall? Well, the socket might blow up in your hand. Like, you could go crazy thinking about all the ramifications. In this case, they point to like the couple, well, the people got the Johnson and she was dead 2 days later. It's like, okay, well, I was driving on the PCH this weekend and this is a horrible story, but a balcony in one of the houses collapsed and everything was shut down. And, like dozens of people got hurt or a dozen people, whatever. It's like, so should nobody ever go on a balcony of a beach house again? Like where do we draw the line with this risk stuff? And have we lost our minds?
Yeah, I think you're right that there's a way in which living through a health scare like this forces you to confront the risks that you take every day, right? You walk outside, you cross the road, you get into a car, you drive 60 miles an hour down the highway. All of this is calculable risks. The benefit of the vaccine, I would tell people, is yes, we accept all sorts of risks in order to live a happy and relatively carefree life. It's so rare in our life that we're offered the opportunity to bring our risk down essentially to zero, right? And that's really what the vaccine does. The vaccine waves a magic wand over, Bill, your SUV or your friend's shoes when they go running near a highway, and says, as long as you're in this car, you'll never get injured and you'll never hurt another person on the highway. It waves a wand over, their running gear and says, as long as you're wearing this running gear, you will never get hit by a car. You will never get, injured, or nothing bad will happen to your knee or your ankle when you run. It's so rare in life that we confront the existence of a magic wand like this. And I'm not trying to be the overly pro-vaccine guy that you were referencing earlier, but the vaccines really are spectacularly effective at reducing, for most people, the already relatively low risk that they face from this virus. And if I had that magic wand in any other aspect of my life, I would take it. Yeah. That's what these vaccines offer.
So how do the next 4 months play out? Do we hit like kind of a stalemate, or do you think, are there PSAs? Do more celebrities have to get involved? Like, is there a way to get more people to change their minds?
Yeah, I think one way to think about how the vaccine hesitant are thinking about the vaccine is that it's a cost-benefit analysis to them. They say the cost of the pandemic isn't particularly high, and so the benefits of the vaccine aren't particularly high either. And there's two ways to shift that calculation. You can raise the cost of the pandemic, or you can raise the benefits of the vaccine. Raise the cost of the pandemic. What does that mean? Well, you can tell people, look, this isn't just about you, 31-year-old sales executive. This isn't just about you, 23-year-old financier. This is about the older people in your community where if you accidentally pass the disease to them, it can be really terrible for them, right? So that's raising the social costs of the pandemic. Raising the benefits, you and I talked about this before. The list is as long as you want to draw it. Give people $100 to get the vaccine. Do vaccines in a bar and give them a free shot of whiskey. Do the vaccine, different states, you could have like a laboratories of democracy thing going on. Pinot could, Oregon could offer people a free Pinot. California could offer people a free glass of Cab. Vermont could offer them free, maple syrup. You could have different states compete for different ways to, incentivize this kind of thing. Washington State could offer, free Dogecoin or something. You could find different ways to incentivize people to get the shot. And that's just raising the benefit of getting it. I don't want to go. I'm nervous. You
raised this in your piece about, that was the first time you even thought of it, about paying people to get vaccinated, basically.
Yeah, paying people to get vaccinated. We're already seeing it. I believe West Virginia is trying it out. One other guy that I talked to said, I believe he's a Northeast metro resident, but he has to be left anonymous. He said, I want DoorDash for vaccines. I don't really want to get this thing. I don't want to take time out of my day to get this shot. But if I knew that I could press a button like on Uber or DoorDash and a couple people with the vial and the needle could come over to my house and sit me down in my chair and boop, pop the needle into my arm, give me a vaccine shot, and then leave. DoorDash for vaccines, that brings me to yes. So I want to be really creative here. I think we should try everything. We're lucky that we have 50 states and one District of Columbia where we can try out a bunch of different strategies and then scale whatever it turns out works. But it's going to require something else to really punch into this block of vaccine hesitancy.
Last question. What do you say the people who worry about the Orwellian piece of this whole thing of the contact tracing? This person's vaccinated, this person isn't. So you wear like, I don't know, a ribbon on your left arm, and just ways that this could go that remind people of an Orwell book on crazy.
Yeah. For people that have these Orwellian concerns, I tend not to share their politics, but I do share their concerns. I am not sure how good it is for a country for some states to be essentially drawing a circle around various activities, like going to baseball parks and going to bars and saying no people without their vaccine card can enter, while other states, probably like let's say Texas and Florida, they're going to allow anybody into those bars and anyone into those stadiums. So even from like a political perspective, I worry this is a losing strategy because people are just going to move to less restrictive areas. And if you're New York and you think you're being clever about saying no one goes to a Yankees or Mets game unless they have the vaccine card, I think you're going to push a lot of people, even more people, to Austin and Miami and Phoenix. And you're going to lose their intelligence, and you're going to lose their tax revenue, and you're going to lose all of the networks of creativity that come from them. So I would rather experiment with immediate rewards. Here's your shot of whiskey. Here's your $100. Here's your Dogecoin. Here's your Ethereum. I'd rather give people the immediate benefit than start to create a network of vaccine passports that has all of the Orwellian implications that you're drawing out. Because even though I share the politics of people trying to put up those lines, I am worried about some of the implications.
It is weird because part of me just wants to walk around like I'm this badass vaccinated guy and I'm just walking into different rooms and whatever. But there's still that fear when people see somebody without a mask and there's a roof. You get the stink eye, right? Or like, well, where's your mask? And it's like, well, I don't need a mask. But I don't know how we kind of navigate that one over these next couple months, where we have more people probably vaccinated than not, especially in like where I live in LA. I'm sure that's the case. But yet there's enough non-vaccinated people that there's this little gentle tug of war going on. And just in general, like a distrust, it feels like, Yeah,
I do feel that. And getting back to full normal, like getting back to a place where you walk into the CVS or the Rite Aid without your mask on and people don't look at you funny. I think in blue states, that might be a while. And my feeling is that's mostly okay. I don't think it's a huge imposition to have to wear a mask at CVS. Like, what do I want to smell in the CVS that I want to have? Naked.
It's probably
dress.
A benefit.
Yeah, exactly. But I do think that when it comes to things like restaurants, baseball parks, Disney World, we're getting to a point where normal's coming, and people who are fighting it, I think, are risk losing a political battle. We should be trying to accelerate vaccinations as much as possible and connecting to that the promise of a fully normal economy. Israel's done it. Israel's shown you can do it while getting COVID cases down 99.5%. My feeling is, let's be Israel.
My idea for California is to tell everybody, if we can get to 90% vaccinated, we'll legalize gambling.
That's beautiful.
Then you pray into everybody's gambling addictions, including my own. I would be out there like a Jehovah's Witness trying to turn people.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, that's the way. Getting Bill Simmons to go door to door in his neighborhood.
Yeah, let's go.
Turning people to his vaccinated LA cult. Yeah,
I'm ready. Legalize gambling. Let's do it. Derek Thompson, pleasure as always. Continue to really enjoy reading your stuff in the Atlantic, and I've learned a lot from you. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Today's episode is brought to you by Miller Lite. We've all found ourselves in awkward social events where we just can't be ourselves. Sometimes it's unavoidable. That's life. That's what makes hanging out with old friends so great. Friends you've known for years. The ones you're always with when you do a pilgrimage to a stadium, road trips, really any excuse to get together. Friends that make it a good time every time. And that's where Miller Lite comes in. This is what really makes me miss Vegas. I've had to go to Vegas for soccer for my daughter. That's not the Vegas I want to experience. That's the place I go with my buddies. That's the guys I see once a year. Just hang out, call each other by our old nicknames, make fun of each other. They watch me play two hands at once of blackjack. It's the best. Miller Lite has taste you can depend on, kind of like those friends you can depend on for a real conversation where you can just be yourself, or in Vegas at 4 a.m. Hopper, Mike, Bish, you know you're out there. It was the original light beer, and that'll never change. So next time you're getting beer with friends, make it Miller time. Luckily, you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer, or go to MillerLite.com/BS to find delivery options near you. Once again, MillerLite.com/BS. It's Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. All right, Sharon Stone is here. She has a book that's out. I read the book. I really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed your whole career. It's fascinating to hear you talk about yourself, because the person I've known for the last 40 years from afar was this super confident, put out this air, was, culminating in Basic Instinct, obviously, but in a couple of other parts too, where you're just like, the most confident, I think, A-list actress who's been on the screen in 40 years. And then in the book, you're in your own head with so many different things. What made you want to write a book, and what made you want to let somebody like me into your world?
Well, I've always been a writer. I went to college on a writing scholarship when I was 15. I've written a lot of short stories. Some of them have been published. I was on a Mark Maron podcast, and then I started getting offers to write a book, write a memoir, and I decided to go for it. Then, you start thinking, like, where am I going to begin? I mean, I've had such a big life and traveled all over the world and done so many interesting things. And then you start thinking about yourself, and you think, I thought, do I really fully understand myself if I'm going to write a book? I thought I should really take a look at me and make an honest inventory before I start writing about my life. I should really be clear about myself. So I did that. And, I've done a couple of 12-step programs. And I'm an Eskimo, it's called, it's when you bring people in from the cold, people who don't want to get sober. I'm not an addict myself, but, I have had other issues that I've taken to the different kinds of programs. So, I started doing this, and I realized it was kind of like, the 4 steps. So I started looking into Al-Anon, and I sort of followed that look at what it means to really do an invested look at yourself, to really deal with your own stuff, and to allow the other people in their lives to also deal with their own stuff, and to take a separate accounting of your own life. And I thought I should do that. I thought that would be a healthful, honest thing to do.
Yeah.
And so I did.
The book is super honest. Did you have people in your life who, like, how much material did you have to be talked out of? What was there, like 15% more that people in your life were just like, you can't tell that story, you can't do that one, that's got to come out?
No. I mean, I had lawyers, of course, look at my book.
Yeah.
And there was very little that had to come out.
Okay.
Maybe, honestly, half a dozen sentences. But only because I have a couple confidentiality agreements in my life. So I just didn't want to step on anybody's toes or do anything that would make anyone feel that I had done anything inappropriate. And so anything that I put in the book, we ran by everybody just to, we sent everything out. We were clear that everything was already public information. We were very thoughtful about what I did. I don't want to be inappropriate with anyone.